All right, but today is Money Monday. It is March 4th. Let's go over all the plays that we have seen today. It was a great way to kick off this morning. A lot of big time hype, a lot of big time running, and on top of that, guys, as always, a lot of big time profit. I was able to go 1-for-1 on my trading so far today. Very happy with my trades. And I was able to lock in $444, and that was on BPTH. I got in on this play at 644. I got out at this play at 678, 677, 676. So I was able to make $444. That was on a $1,400 profit, or excuse me, 1,400 shares. And as always, guys, I've showed my P&L when I take massive wins and massive losses. This is a nice little win to kind of kick off my week, $444. This is real money. My account number is right here. So, of course, you guys could see this is a real account. I'm trading real money and trading the alerts that I give you guys. I just always want to, again, be open, honest, credible with everything I do. Now, with that being said, let's dive in and let's talk about BPTH right now, because BPTH is already starting to move on up. Now, we know BPTH is a crazy play. And as fast as it goes to 750 is as fast as it could come back down to $7. And it's as fast as it can go back down to 650, or as fast as it can go all the way up to 850, right? This thing can rip and run so fast. So you need to be watching it nonstop if you guys are interested in playing it. Now, when did I get in on my play? Right now, the stock is all the way up at 732. I got in on my entry right here. Right at the break of the VWAP. Now, why? Why am I even interested in BPTH? Where did this alert even come from? How were we even able to talk about BPTH? Well, let's talk about the Dekmar Trades morning newsletter that, of course, I send you all you guys. Chart setup for today. And if you guys are not getting this morning newsletter, it's crucial. You guys have to be, getting this so you guys know exactly how to start your day. And I love putting together the morning newsletter because it's kind of like preparing me for, my upcoming test. I kind of think of it like back when I was in college. What did you want to do? You wanted to put together a study guide, right? And putting together the study guide was basically studying enough for you to know how to do, the exam correctly and know what you had to do. A lot of times, like if I was like, hey, can I borrow your study guide? It wasn't the same as me putting it together. Right? Because me putting it together, I had to do the research and I had to type it out, and it stuck in my brain a lot better. So I personally, even before I started running Dekmar trades and streaming on Tradecaster, I was still running, still writing out my morning newsletter, even just for myself, because it was a great way for me to understand what plays had the best potential today. And BPTH, right here, as you guys can see, this was the supernova on Friday. This stock will be on every trader's watch list, as you cannot forget the stock that spiked $6 all in one day. As of now, BPTH is having a slight 8% gap down, but a break of $7 during the day can lead to volume returning into this play. This is an under 1 million in float stock that can easily bring back all momentum if nothing else runs this morning. So again, you're kind of just having all this information. It kind of just sticks in my head and helps me, again, become a much better trader during the actual day. So BPTH, that was one that I was already watching. And why, again? Just because this had a beautiful rip in the past. Right? And the past, as in Friday. It was the previous day or the previous trading session's top trading stock, where it went on a $6 spike. So immediately I want to watch it because I always watch top gainers. CIFS, top gainer, top gainer, top gainer, right? If you see a big time like supernova, let's say, look at RKDA. We look at supernovas, what do we see? You see top gainer, one red day, and then a big top gainer. If we want to look at like, ALT, or we have a top gainer right here, we get a nice big rip, we get a giant top gainer right there. We look at SAEX, top gainer, top gainer, top gainer. Whenever you see a big time play, you always want to watch it as one of your top stocks to be focusing on for the next day. So BPTH, the stock does not have any sort of news. This stock doesn't really have any sort of like go-to chart pattern, but it does have an extremely low float, as we know, underneath 1 million. So BPTH on Friday started spiking. It's about 300,000 in float, and it started spiking really hard once it broke the main body right here of 275 of the open of this red day. Right, so it was the open of this red day back in January 18th, where the stock dumped. Once we broke that, we saw a ton of hype, a ton of volume, a ton of momentum come through this. Now, I didn't even play, BPTH on this Friday right here. I just sat back and watched, you guys bank. But it was an absolutely beautiful rip so far to see this thing really get going. And it went, as we know, from 260 all the way up towards around 890. So, I mean, how can we not watch it today? Now, with that being said, why did I get in on this play? What was my reasoning behind it? And simple enough, guys, this was just forming a U-shaped breakout pattern, right? And I think there's a lot of potential on BPTH to continue to rip, continue to run, and continue to, still bring in that big time hype. What's a U-shaped breakout pattern, right? Or you could even call this, as a possible red to green move. But what do we always look for? We look for U-shaped patterns. We have our top resistance line, right? We have our top resistance. The stock forms a nice U shape right here. Once we break that, top resistance line, that's where the stock continues to move on out. So U shapes are beautiful, areas that we like to look for. Even, on a channel pattern, we have a beautiful U shape that's setting itself on up. And we're constantly looking for U shapes. Red to green move, drop underneath the open, come on up, break the open. We get a nice play. We get a nice big breakout. So you could say to yourself, hey, Dek, well, why didn't you buy it like on this one? Or why didn't you buy it on this one? Or why didn't you buy it on this one? Why didn't you buy it on this one? Why'd you buy, how did you time it perfectly right here for this big time breakout? Because as I showed you guys, what time did I get involved with BPTH? I bought the stock at 10:04. So I bought the stock at 10:04 right here. And where did we start seeing all the hype start coming on in? Right around, 10:04, 10:05. And it's because it broke the VWAP line right here. So let's kind of break this down a little bit more elementary to help you guys out. And what do we have? First thing, and I'm going to put this back to normal because right now BPTH is on high alert still. It's right at 750, and this thing could possibly blow as I'm talking about it. But I'm talking about, on a U-shaped pattern, where do we like to buy? Well, again, if we have a U-shape, this is a stock. Let's say it opens up right here, just like this one did. And what do we have? Well, we can break this down into a couple different areas, as we know, guys, right? I call this the A wall, I call this the B wall, and I call this the C wall. So if we're going to be trading the stock, what do we always want to do? We don't want to buy in the A wall, because the A wall, if we look at this, is just the stock falling, right? And the stock could just dump its way on down. So we don't ever want to buy in the A wall, right? Then after that, what do we start seeing? Well, after the A wall starts forming and we start getting a lot of support, the B wall starts forming, this is where we could maybe start looking for entries, but we still want to see an uptrend, because this could possibly just come on the B wall right away. What do we want to look for? The A wall to form. The B wall, which is basically our support, and now we start getting some higher lows. This is where maybe we want to start entering, right? Maybe right along this area, for that nice big run up, for the rip, and for that big possible breakout. As we know, we can also buy at what we like to call the D, which would be at the break of resistance, right? Because that would be, the break of resistance going right across the board right here. So let's remember this picture in our head right here. Remember this picture in our head. If we look at this chart pattern right here, if I bought, let's say on this play, if I bought on this play, right on this VWAP, is that a U shape? No. If I buy right here, is that a U shape? No. Now it's starting to get a little better. Now it's starting to come on up, for that nice big U shape pattern, right? A U shape pattern opens up right here, makes a nice U shape, and then comes back on up. A U shape is not open up and go doom. That's not a U shape. A U shape is not open up and then just, go straight up like that, right? You want to see that nice U shape form. So I let that consolidate, let that happen, and then we got the nice big break right here. Now you could say, well, Dek, the open of this play wasn't all the way until, this area, right towards around that $7 mark, right? We can exaggerate this out right here, and we could see that this right here didn't open until around $7, and then you got the nice big breakout. You bought at 640. Why? And again, I was waiting to see where can I buy in on the C wall. I don't want to wait for the D, right? This is the D right here for the stock to get this quick rip. It went from $7 to $7.50, which is a quick, $7 up towards around $7.20, which is still a nice, 20-cent rip. I wanted to be on the C wall right here. So how did I know to get in right here? That was just the break of the VWAP, right? All that was is the break of the VWAP line, which is the line I've used on the 1 minute, the 2 minute, the 3 minute, the 5 minute, etc. So that's the area that I really like to watch right there. So I watched for the VWAP break. It broke the VWAP. That's where I went on that nice run. That's where BPTH went on that nice climb. Because again, U-shape, C-wall. Why did volume come in? Break a VWAP. Then set itself up in a red to green move. Got halted, extended up more, and then again, we did start seeing a little sell-off. Notice what happened though. Again, U-shape pattern. Nice big breakout. Nice big rip. Then what happened again? U-shape pattern. Again, this is not, the most complicated thing in the world once you actually understand it a little bit, just because what is this setting itself up in, right? All we have right here is a U-shape breakout pattern. There's number one. And after that, what do we have? We have a U-shaped breakout pattern. There's number 2. And then what it's trying to set itself up as, U-shaped breakout pattern, number 3, right? So just keep trying to do this over and over and over again. And then from there, you can also see a little bit of this like uptrend starting to form, right? Where this thing is still building higher lows, where it's still trying to get some rip in, still trying to get some running towards it. And this, could still continue to move on up as that uptrend's forming right there. So BPTH, a lot of good credibility behind that play, even for the stock being a little bit lighter on news, right? And that makes sense to everybody, correct? For you guys to understand, why the stock is moving, why the stock is, taking on off, and why the stock's gaining, some nice volume. Let's talk about another very hot play today. Let's talk about CIFS, right? CIFS, this play, nice run, nice big rip, where it's gone from 490 and was able to spike all the way up to 646. This play has been a hot one for the past few days now, right? This one has been moving up very strong. It's gone from around 80 cents, guys, all the way up towards around the 650 area. And once again, I would like to do my homework. Once again, I like to get ready for the exam. I like to study, right? So put together my study guide. High alert this morning as this 5 million in float stock has a lot of potential to spike today. It is the number 2 top gainer in the stock market, currently with a 49% gap up. This stock does not have any news, but it does have an excellent chart pattern setup. This is a mid-candle breakout pattern on its daily chart, which has room to run up to the 200-day moving average, which is 846, right? So here we are right here. And again, a little sign up. If you guys are not getting this morning newsletter, please email us at dekmartrades@gmail.com. So, of course, we can set you guys up in this morning newsletter, and you guys can be getting this into your inbox every single day. So what do we have right here? First things first, as we already know, this thing is a mid-candle breakout pattern. Mid-candle breakout setup, you guys all know this. We got our nice big green day, red candle comes back down to mid-candle of the initial spike, and then we get our nice big breakout. Nice big rip, red candle, mid-candle of the initial spike, nice big breakout, nice big rip, mid-candle, initial spike, nice big breakout, again, so on and so forth, leading towards easy predictability, knowing that this was going to probably go on a nice big spike, back on either, Thursday, Friday, or possibly all the way up into today. CIFS, this play has 5 million in float. So we have 5 million in float. We have a mid-candle breakout pattern. What also helps start this play? The nice squeeze that we have, the 50-day moving average, the 13 EMA at the bottom. And as we know, guys, another little recap, we always like to look for triangles, right? If we have a stock, let's say, we have, let's call this, the 200-day moving average, and let's call this the 50-day moving average right here. What happens when the stock in the middle of this, goes on a nice spike and starts getting squeezed tighter and tighter and tighter? We get our nice rip on up, right? We get our nice shoot on up. And that's exactly what happened right here. Only it was between the 13 EMA and the 50-day moving average, where the stock, got a nice big squeeze and then got a nice pop on up. So we got our nice squeeze. We got our nice pop. We got the mid-candle breakout pattern, 5 million in float. And what else do we absolutely love about this play? It has room to run all the way up towards around 841. Right? Which is right at the 200-day moving average. So this stock has squeeze, low float, mid-candle, volume, hype, and it still has room to run. What's not to love, right? What's not to love about this play, guys? CIFS, this is, a very nice pattern. Now, right here, it did crack its trend line for a bit, but it's still trying to hold on up. Went down to a low around 570, but right now it's still, doing its thing and holding up, pretty well at the moment. If we're looking at CIFS, we can break this down again into a couple different areas. Obviously, you guys can see this is a very nice uptrend. And where I told everyone to start, really getting out of this play was the crack of the uptrend, right? Very simple stuff. If we crack a trend line, we know that thing can dump. This is where all shorters at, and that's where it starts dumping. This is where all sellers are at. This is where it starts dumping. This is where people start getting upset and start getting emotional as it starts dumping. This is where, again, everyone starts saying, I got to get out, run for your life. Oh, my gosh. And that's where it sometimes starts getting a little crazy. So you always want to be careful when these trend lines crack. CIFS did get a lot of hype this morning, started shooting on up. You can see nice U-shaped breakout pattern right here. Stays on the trend line, cracked the trend line, and right now it's more just trying to find some level or like some channel. You can see right now, I'd say the channel is 575. Bounce, 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 consolidation, bounce, 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 with kind of our top resistance still all the way up towards around that 640-ish, 635 mark, where you see resistance, 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 resistance. So that's kind of where that's currently at this time. But you could probably take out this trend line now because it didn't seem like it dumped super hard. But definitely had a little bit of a pullback. But at this time, it's more inside like this channel pattern, as you guys can obviously tell. So, that's where we're at right there. CIFS inside of a channel. And then we have BPTH. Excuse me. We have BPTH trying to hold up above $7. But that's still on an uptrend as well. So you guys can go right here and put that one on a nice little uptrend. So that's, absolutely awesome to see. So those are, the two big ones. YRIV, that one's just been a little interesting. Had a lawsuit, had a 10K come out as well. It wasn't really anything, super hot. Something I do want to let you guys know of course, is what time are these plays, really running also very big. It's great we had, YRIV, I've been saying that all day, go on a nice spike. It's great we've seen CIFS go on a nice spike. It's great we've been able to see BPTH go on a nice spike. But, let's also think about something. When were we seeing a lot of big time rips today? We saw a lot of big time rips, as we know, in pre-market, right? Pre-market, CIFS. We could check this out in pre-market. This thing, went all the way from 374, shot all the way up to 578, right? Let's talk about RKDA. This thing, dumped on down a little bit, but this went all the way from 812 and ran all the way up to 928. RKDA is a previous top gainer, gets people very excited. And again, this came out over the past 2 days because this is a previous top gainer of last week. And we're looking to see if it was going to make a big green candle today. It talked about, getting a license in Hawaii to start its hemp business. Because again, it talked about getting involved with hemp, and it's got a license in hemp today. Last play I want to talk about is just JMU. And JMU is making a nice uptrend right here. So you could see this stock, going on a very nice climb. Not too much action in pre-market, but it definitely had a little bit. Right now, as we could see, we could just always, extend these lines and connect the trend line. That's, always one of the most easiest things to do. You see the trend line is, right around this like 175-ish mark. The VWAP is going to hold up as support right around this 183 mark. And then you also will have some support, kind of going across the board from these old highs. But JMU, why is this stock running? Because JMU doesn't have any sort of news, right? JMU, right here, JMU, no news. January 7th, it's not January 7th. We can look at the filings right here. JMU, January 30th, it's not January 30th. So why is this moving on up? This is just one of the lowest float Chinese stocks there are, guys. As you guys know, first things on CNBC.com. You go to CNBC.com. And what do we have here? Dow erases more than 100-point gain. Street grapples with disappointing data, and U.S.-China talks. So again, we had our China talks. I also posted a link before in chat talking about China talks. So a lot of people, are getting very excited about the China talks. And with that being said, a lot of people are looking for low float Chinese plays, right? A lot of people are looking for low float Chinese plays. Now, there is no agreement yet with China talks. You can see, the markets are starting to come back down a little bit. Dow, NASDAQ, S&P 500, they're still holding up, very well for, they've had a 10-week gain. But this is, a pretty nice red pullback right here. Again, there are no results just yet with the China talks. There is no deal. But a lot of people are still eager for a deal to possibly be made. And that's why, if we look at this, and I've showed you guys this a few times already, if we go to, finviz.com and set up a specific scanner for us, we could see out of all the Chinese plays, guys, JMU is the lowest float Chinese play. So basically people are saying, hey, if this China deal works out, we should see some low float Chinese stocks go on massive rips. Hey, let's go buy JMU. That's the lowest float one. And then guess what? One person does it. 10 people do it. 100 people do it. 500 people do it. And then basically a stock with no reason other than the fact it's just a low float stock related to China, it starts moving on up. So, you definitely, if you're in on this play, you got to be careful. You want it to hold above 188. It's 200-day moving average. Even better, it'd be $2. But, it's a good profitable play so far, but you just got to be careful on it, right? You're going to see a lot of plays that are a little bit iffy, a lot of plays that are a little bit crazy. Sometimes there's not as much credibility, but you have to understand people's mindsets. Why are they trading it? Why are they getting involved with it, right? So, definitely want to understand that. Other than that, though, awesome job today, guys. I've been giving you guys shout-outs over in Profits Chat, throughout the whole entire day. You guys have just been absolutely killing it. If it's on BPTH, if it's on CIFS, if it's on RKDA, you guys have just been doing absolutely awesome. I think the biggest gain we saw so far today was Valor with a $5,000 gain. I believe, yep, Valor, good trade for pre-market. He made $5,906 So that was the big winner that I've seen so far over in Profits Chat. And again, that one's right here, 5,000. But even Taylor was making 3,200, 256, 226, 583, 172, 250, 130. So again, awesome job, guys. Awesome, awesome work. As always, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, please let me know. More than happy to help you guys out. But awesome job today. Could not be any more fired up to kick off on Money Monday.